Welcome! This video contains an introduction, an interview so you can gain deeper understanding of the subject from spirit level, and a group frequency calibration so you can start to clear the frequency distortion patterns around this topic. Enjoy! Hi everyone, my name is Karen Cheong and I'm here with my co-host Dennis Kelly. In our culture, we're not really taught to see ourselves as creative or as creators, especially as adults, when by our essence, it's our natural birthright. So whether you see yourself as not having a single creative bone in your body, or whether you see yourself as really creative, today we're going to discuss how to unleash the creator within, because doing so has far more benefits than you're likely aware of. Let's jump right in. Dennis?
It's really fun to watch you, Karen, when you start to talk about creativity. Mm-hmm. You know, you just come alive and you get so excited. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, in the world that you live in mm-hmm. and the people that you work with, mm-hmm. what is this creativity all about?
Well, creativity is really an extension of our natural state. We are all creators. Whether or not we are aware of it, we are creating all the time. So we are creating our reality, and creativity is an extension of that ability, that natural thing we all do. You look confused.
Yeah, you know, I just, I'll tell you where I went.
Okay.
You know, are you telling me that I create the world that I live in?
Yes.
Okay. But I've got cancer. Mm-hmm. And I just wrecked my car. Mm-hmm. And I've got a broken leg. Mm-hmm. And the bank just called and the check bounced. Mm-hmm. So I've got a lot of things going on in my world. Mm-hmm. So what are you telling me?
Yes. So what I'm saying to you is that you are creating your reality. So this is you, not just you, your conscious you, but also the distortion patterns that are running you are creating this reality. So we have, and your thought forms and your emotions. So it may be that when you're at the point that the car accident has happened, the cancer has happened, the bank has called and whatever, you've now gotten to the point in your beliefs where you think this is the way it is. This is my, and something else is going to go wrong. Like what else can go wrong, right? Or what else can is someone going to die?
Just my luck.
Just my luck, right? So, and as you start to think that, you entrench that, and it starts to happen more and more, because it's almost like your reality gives you more of what it is that you're asking.
So I'm supporting my own belief system.
Yeah.
And my belief system is that,
Yeah, exactly. And worry is another thing. So we're such powerful creators, and we are co-creating. Let me just make that extremely clear. We are co-creating with Pure Source. This is a loop that's going on here. It's not just us. It's us and Pure Source. So Pure Source loves us so much, it gives us exactly what we ask for. So whether or not we're consciously asking for it or not, it's happening. So the distortion patterns are creating these things that we don't even realize that we're asking for, but the frequencies are asking for those realities to be created. So worry, because you know some people worry a lot, right? Some people I used to, a long time ago, worry quite a bit. And so worrying is a way of using our creative ability in a way that doesn't help us. So instead of, let me just reframe worry for you. So instead of worrying about, I'm not going to get the thing that I want. So let's imagine, I'm worried that I won't be able to make my rent at the end of the month. Or I'm worried about my business pulling in a certain amount of money. Instead, worry about what would happen. Because first of all, we're always going to have problems. It doesn't matter where we are in our lives, what level of abundance.
Some kind of challenge.
Some kind of challenge is going to arise, right? So instead, worry about what happens when you're so successful that you have so much business that you actually now have to find employees. And now you have to worry about finding someone who can help you because you have so much business you don't know what to do with it. Worry about that as opposed to how am I going to make this, you know what I mean, make the rent or make the money, the company have money or whatever. You just redirect your worry to something that's up-leveled from where you are now. And if you keep worrying about that, you'll create that reality. So that's a much better thing to worry about.
You know, I hear you, but you know, it just seems like our family is just we suffer from a lot of tough luck. You know, that's something that you might hear somebody say. You know, it seems like the neighbors are so lucky. They're so fortunate, you know, that just things go their way. And you might hear somebody say, well, our family, it's been pretty rough. It's been pretty tough.
Yeah.
So are we talking now maybe
We're
about
talking about distortion patterns.
About lineages?
Lineage, distortion patterns, and a whole mess of other things, like the religion and a whole bunch of other stuff. So once you remove that, so this is as we remove more and more of the distortion patterns, what's amazing is that we do free the creator within, because now you're not being bound by all these things that constrain us, that make us think that our realities are heavy or give us the tough luck, or even hereditary disease patterns. I've seen those change when you get to a high enough level, you can even change that. So I realize that's a stretch for most people to believe, but it's possible. So in any case, as you do more and more of this frequency work, it's really amazing because it does free the creator within, and you can then create without the dissonance or those filters which are binding your reality, and you can even create more than you're aware. Like, what is even possible for you to create starts to come in because you're not being limited by the same mindset, the same old thoughts that keep happening. Yeah. And what I would say is that is also really important is to start to dream. Most people don't dream in the sense of, I'm not talking about sleeping, dreaming. I'm talking about what it is that they want to experience in life. Like if you ask somebody on the street, like, what do you want? They'll be like, oh, I don't know, I guess to be happy or to be rich or whatever. I'm like, okay, what does that mean to you? Like, what experiences do you want to have? How do you want to impact the world around you? How do you want the people around you to feel? How do you want to, whatever it is. But people don't allow themselves to dream, and that's kind of an interesting thing because that's part of the creation process. That dreaming is the beginning of the creation process. So it's important that we start to do that. And then, of course, the removal of the frequency distortion patterns around, that's not possible, I'm not worthy of that, I'll never reach that, whatever, we can release those things. But the dreaming is the beginning of that act of creation, which is really beautiful and important.
Would that be the word permission? That I actually give myself permission to step out of this world that I think that I'm locked in. So I give myself permission to think about the possibility of a new job or a new car or whatever that might be.
Yeah, and it's just playing. It's very light. It's just playing. Like little children play all the time. Yeah. They sing all the time, they play, and if you ask them what they want to do when they grow up shifts like every 2 seconds because they're dreaming different things, right? One day they want to be a fireman, the next day they want to be a policeman, one day they want to be a doctor. Like it's just because they're dreaming different things and they're just playing with these different things that are possible. Likewise, we too can use this skill. And one of the things that's important in terms of creativity, so we're looping it back to creativity, which is what you asked about initially. So creativity is very not, it's interesting. It's like, for some reason in our culture, it's not super encouraged for adults. Like for kids, we're like, oh, draw, play, like open yourself up, and we play pretend with them, and we imagine with them, and we make stories with them. For adults, it's not so encouraged. We receive imagery, like we watch movies, we read books, whatever, but we don't really create that much. And I really believe that a lot of it is because we have so much judgment around how good are we at creating. Like if all of a sudden we're not an expert singer, we shouldn't be opening our mouths to sing. Like, oh, I'm a terrible singer. I'm like, well, does that matter? I mean, do you enjoy just the joy of making sound, like singing is pleasurable. That's it. I mean, you don't need to perform in front of 10,000 people to receive joy from singing. I mean, it's not about that. But yet we don't even try to sing because I'm terrible at singing. I'm a terrible dancer. I'm a terrible this. And it's funny because that expression of creation, or like painting, for example, that attachment to other people's reception of that is an interesting thing. Why are we attached to people's judgment of whether this is good, bad, and different? So what I would recommend is, if you want to start to play with dreaming and creativity and just exercising this muscle, is to just pick something you like. Do you like to sing? Do you like to take photographs? Do you like to paint? And just play with it and not be attached to it. Meaning, if you paint, it's not about hanging it on the wall. Like, is it good enough to put on the wall? It's not about that. It's about the pleasure of painting, just creation. So Maybe you don't even like the color brown and you start with the color brown and then you add red and it doesn't look like anything, it's just a mash of colors, but there's kind of this pleasure of mixing all the colors together and sticking stuff on, and then when you're done, you're like, done! And you're like, okay, wow, that was kind of cool. And then throw it away.
You know, you work with a lot of different people in a lot of different situations. I'm curious, do you have people that maybe have actually bought into their own drama?
Yes.
And
all the time.
Whatever that might be. And it's almost like it's kind of threatening to step out of that. It's because this is my story.
Yeah.
And I've
ran
that story for years.
Yeah.
And this is my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, you know, this creativity thing that you talk about almost sounds a little threatening.
Yes, this scares a lot of people. Yes, creativity scares a lot of people because it asks them to open into something else, to allow something else to happen. And we're so terrified of being judged. And then our own judgment of the thing. What if you just created and then didn't do anything with it? What if you just threw it away? I mean, not because it's garbage, because you're not attached to it, that you don't have to put it on the wall. And maybe you do put it on the wall because it gives you pleasure for a day or two, and then you dispose of it. It's our attachment to it. So the thing is to just create for the pleasure of creating. You could do this with cooking. You know, you could do this with cooking. You can do, I mean, there's so many things. You could make jewelry. You could do woodworking. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's purely for the pleasure of creating without attachment to the thing that you have created. That's it. It is the act of creation. That's what I mean by the act of being creative, is allowing us to do this, because what this does, it's the muscle. Just like intuition is a muscle. The creation ability is a muscle. The more we use it, the more influence we actually will have on our reality, because we're using it all the time and we're starting to dream and be influenced by things other than our brains. So when we're creating simply for the pleasure of creating, we're not thinking, oh, I need to put a line here on this painting. You're like, oh, I'm going to put the red right there, whatever. Okay, well, all right. And so, okay, now I'm going to put blue and whatever. And it's less about the judgment of the painting, but just the pleasure of creating.
But, you know, one of the things that you're asking me to do is step into the unknown.
Yes.
And the unknown can be extremely scary.
Absolutely, yep.
So, you know, you're asking me to be creative and to do things and try things and flex this muscle and, you know, dream outside the box. And if I go outside that box, I've never been there before.
Yeah.
Something really, really bad could happen. Karen, really bad.
I wonder if you even know what that could be. So if you're that type of person, which is totally fair, take a class. Take a class, because you might need structure to help you. So I remember one time, I mean, I also fell into the spell of like, I'm not that creative. And then I remember one time one person asked me, what makes your heart sing? And I just freaked out. I didn't actually know the answer at all. I just was like, I don't know. And that answer freaked me out even more, because I was like, how do I not know what makes my heart sing? I mean, really? And so I thought, well, I don't even know how to explore this. And so for me, at that point in my journey, I followed this book called The Artist's Way. It's it's a classic now. So I did that. You can sign up for writing from the left side of the brain. You can sign up for painting classes, which are like what they call intuitive painting. Right? Intuitive painting classes are phenomenal. You don't have to know how to draw. No one cares that you know how to draw a cat yourself or anything else. It's not about that. It's just about painting from your intuition. So anything like this, and join a class. If you need the structure because you don't have any idea and it scares you, take a class. There are tons of creatives out there who are dying to help you. So use them as a resource, because it's such a gift when you can let yourself be free in that way. And just explore. It's such a pleasurable act to create.
Well, like I told you, it's so much fun to watch you get so wound up and so excited about creativity. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Karen, could you help me? I hear so often when I look at your video or your website, GFC. Exactly what is that?
A GFC is a group frequency calibration, which looks a lot like a guided meditation on a particular topic. And what I'm doing is I'm helping you to remove the distortion patterns of that particular topic. And because you're coming together as a mastermind in a group to connect to pure source even more and to clear the distortion patterns of this particular topic, what happens is a tremendous amount of momentum starts to happen because of the energetic of the entire group, and each individual is able to move faster and ascend higher than they could have on their own. Welcome everyone. This is the Group Frequency Calibration on freeing the creator within. Let's begin by taking 3 deep breaths into our lower bellies, wherever that is for you. So let's inhale, holding our breath for at least 2 to 3 seconds before exhaling all the air out of your lungs and holding out your exhaled breath for at least 1 to 2 seconds. And on your second breath, please inhale, holding your inhaled breath for a second or 2 longer than you did your previous breath, before exhaling all the air out of your lungs at your own time. You don't have to follow the sound of my voice. And holding out your exhaled breath for a second or 2 longer than you did your previous breath. And whenever you're ready on your third breath, please inhale, holding your breath for at least 2 seconds longer than you did your previous breath, before exhaling all the air out of your lungs and holding out your exhaled breath for at least 2 seconds longer than you did your previous breath. And when you're complete with your 3 breaths, please continue to breathe regularly or normally into your lower belly. And if you're female, please also include your womb space as you breathe into your lower belly. Let's now please connect to Pure Source by asking ourselves the following question. How can I become even more aware of my connection only to Pure Source? And that question again is, how can I become even more aware of my connection only to Pure Source? And as you ask yourself this question, please imagine, see, sense, feel, or become aware of a brilliance deep, deep within your lower belly that starts to expand, to grow, to become even brighter and more radiant as you become even more aware of your connection only to Pure Source. And on my end, I am helping you to increase or expand your natural bandwidth. Nice. Please note, for those of you who are new, I am going to be working on you at the group and the subgroup level, And I'll be making some noises on my end. So you'll likely hear me exhale sharply or yawn, even though I'm not tired, or you might hear me hum. And that's just how I currently remove distortion patterns or move the frequencies around. So I invite you to use that as an opportunity to strengthen your focus on your end. Good. So now if you could please bring your attention, awareness, focus to your heart space, or imagine your heart space. And I don't mean your physical heart, I mean your heart space, which is in the center of your chest and your nipple line. So please bring your attention to this part of your body. Breathing deeply as your awareness settles here. So, the first distortion pattern that we're going to remove is that, depending on the subgroup you're in, is either that of fear, resistance, or disbelief. Let's call it that. Depending on the subgroup that you're in, around creativity. Right? So a lot of us are afraid because we don't know what creating means, how to do it. Is it possible for me to create or be creative? For those of you that are creative, many of you get stymied because you're afraid of the power of your creative ability and how it can, for a very small subgroup of you, take over everything. And then of course there's a subgroup of you that doesn't believe that you can even create on really any level. So this is a pretty big frequency distortion pattern, irrespective of what group you're in. So it's going to take me about a minute or so. So I'm not going to talk for a little bit, but please focus during that time in your heart space. All right? And just imagine softening into your heart space, whatever that means to you. Okay? It may feel like a dissolving or a melting or softening, whatever works best for you. As I work on you. Very good. So now, please bring your attention to the back of your skull, the lower back half of your skull. So between your occiput, which is that bumpy part that protrudes out of the back part of your skull, all the way to where your neck meets your skull, right there. Okay? So just bringing your awareness, focus, attention, or imagine this part in your body. So what I'm doing here is opening up your creativity, okay, your ability to create. Now, first, a large subgroup of you, we're going to also remove the distortion pattern of fear of judgment, right, that you, by others or self, around what you create. We'll get into that a little bit more, but we need to remove this simultaneously for a small subgroup of you, or actually, it's not that small. good sized subgroup of you, as we work on the back of your skull to open up your creativity. For some of you at all, because you've suppressed it, and for some of you who are already creative, even more. So all you have to do, whether or not you understand any of this, just focus on the lower back half of your skull. Good. Now please bring your attention, awareness, or focus back to your heart space, or imagine your heart space. In fact, we're going to expand that. So please imagine, see, sense, feel, or become aware of your belly button all the way to your heart. Okay, so this entire area between your belly button and your heart. And if it's easier for you to imagine a tube connecting these two spots, please go ahead and do that. So, this is the distortion pattern of attachment to what we create. So sometimes we create things and then we become so attached to it. It's we almost get stuck, like we can't create something new because what if it's not as good as the thing we just created? We like stop ourselves. Okay, so let's release this attachment to what we create, so that you can also have the choice to create just for the pleasure of it. So you paint something, you make something, and then you're fine throwing it away. Because all that was the pleasure of creating, bringing something into form, and then not attaching to it. So you can throw it away. It doesn't matter to you. Okay? Good. And the next distortion pattern right behind this one, between the belly button and the heart, so just keeping your awareness here, is another layer of sensitivity or distortion pattern around judgment, right? Of the act of creating. So, meaning that for many of you, you don't feel like... If you paint something, you feel it has to be so good that you can put it on your wall. Like you don't want to create something else that's good enough to put on your wall. Or if you sing something, that it has to be good enough to record, or whatever, that someone else has to hear it, or good enough for someone else to listen to and like, or whatever it is, right? Or if you cook something, that someone else has to enjoy it. So that all is fine. However, this is about liberating you from this frequency distortion so that you can sing for your own pleasure. Now, whether or not someone else enjoys it is entirely irrelevant. It's simply for the pleasure of singing. the sound coming from your throat, or dancing because it feels good to you, and it doesn't have to be professional level, whatever, or performance ready, or camera worthy, or whatever. It is simply for the joy of moving your body, or whatever the creation process looks like to you, whether it's woodworking or, I don't know, sculpture or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be for anything other than the joy of creation. So with this frequency distortion pattern running with regards to judgment, though, we never begin, because either we're self-judging or we're too sensitive to the judgment of others and whether or not they like it. Okay, so let's just remove this so you can have more freedom to even begin to explore. Okay, so in the same area between the belly button and the heart, the next distortion pattern is that of a discomfort with the unknown or not knowing. Okay, so oftentimes when we begin to create, we don't really know what we're doing. We're just about to create something. So you don't have to have an image in your mind to begin. Sometimes you just begin by, if you're painting, putting a splotch of red on the page, or if, even if you don't like the color green, putting a stroke of green on the page, beginning. So whether you're making glass, whether you're throwing pottery, doesn't really matter, drawing, taking photographs. Oftentimes, we don't necessarily have to know what the end product is. But we don't begin because we don't have an end product in mind because of this frequency distortion. So if we're comfortable or more neutral on not knowing the end product, or not knowing exactly where we're going, then we can begin. And this will extend far more than just creation. It's everything. Sometimes we don't know why we're doing something until a little bit later. We're just following. So this will start to build that muscle of trust. Okay. So continuing to breathe between your belly button and your heart. Good. So now, please bring your attention to your groin area. And we're going to connect that all the way up into the heart space. So imagine, see, sense, feel, or become aware of your groin all the way up to your heart. Again, if you find it helpful to imagine a tube connecting these 2 points, that's wonderful. If you don't need it, that's fine. Now, this is a distortion pattern around the impulse to create. Okay, so for many of you, you suppress your impulse to create, and you do something else, like you distract yourself with media or your phones, or you get bored, right? And or you work, you go to work instead. So it's a suppression of the impulse to create. So I'm going to help you remove this. So that when that impulse comes in, you're free to act on it if you would like, in a way that's outside of your norm, potentially even. Good. And now in that same place between the groin and the heart, this is the distortion pattern of the fear of or the resistance to the mystery or the magic. Okay? So creation comes from that same place. Many call it the right side of the brain. This is the part that's connected to the divine, not associated with logic. It's where our inspiration comes in. However, with the frequency pattern running of fear or resistance to this, because it's the unknown, it's difficult for creativity to come in or creation to come in. Also, it's very difficult to dream or to create your reality if you have this frequency distortion pattern running, okay, because you're afraid of that creation ability. So let's just remove this so that you can have not only more creativity and the ability to create without that, but also more ability to dream what you want in your life to create your reality. Good. So now, please breathe into your solar plexus between your belly button and the base of your sternum. Your sternum is that big, thick bone in the center of your chest where the ribs meet in front of your body. So for all of you, I'll be working on your pain bodies, which are getting a little active. And for some of you, a large subgroup of you, this is about the fear of your power to create. Okay, so we're doing a number of things right here. So just keeping your focus, your awareness, your attention on your solar plexus. Good. So I'm going to leave you in this space for as long as you would like. And I look forward to meeting you on the next GFC.